Hey everybody, Frugal Farmer here. This is an old memory I have on stuff that used to happen. I was probably 15, 16 at the time. I think I was 16 because I actually had a little bit of pocket money. Well, this is supposedly a frozen cadaver of a Bigfoot in there. I guess that's the head up there. You can kind of see his thighs there. Well, somebody had a camper they had rigged up, and not thinking about it, they could plug it in, but they didn't have a generator to keep that freezer cold. Well, I think he paid $1, 50 cents or $1 to get in there to take a look at it. And I'm not saying this is the same one, but it's pretty much similar. And these things were quite popular back in the day. You'd have people, they'd come around with old campers, and they'd have different aquariums set up in it for different snakes, and they'd have them labeled. You could go in there and see all the snakes, different rattlesnakes, copperheads. I'm thinking they had cobras and stuff too. I can't remember on the cobras, but I know they had the rattlesnakes and copperheads. And that was about $1 too. Well, I had a curiosity about stuff like that. And there was a book out at the time, just different curiosities and stuff. Just happened some friends of mine had it, and I went to their house. I hated to ask them to borrow it, so I read the book while I was there, and I kind of ignored their company while I read the book. So I never was asked back to that house. And not that I weren't mean or nothing. I was wanting to read that book and see everything. And but there was also, at the state fair, you'd run up on different stuff. And this is Ann Jones. This isn't the bearded lady I saw. I did see a documentary on the bearded lady I saw. She had married another sideshow performer, and she she'd come out and walk around and talk to you, and she'd sell these little printouts of her back, and she said they were risque, but they weren't. They were just her back. And this woman had a mane of hair on her back, let me tell you. And she had a beard and all, and but she traveled with the circus. She eventually retired to Florida, and her husband died. And this is Ann Jones. She was right around the turn of the century, right around in there, a little bit earlier. She was born in Virginia, and they said she came out with hair on her chin. And anyway, her parents thought she'd make a good sideshow, so they got her in the circus, and that was her main life. She eventually died of tuberculosis at her mother's home while she was visiting. But you just had all these shows like that were common back in the day, and really, we didn't have, if the fair came to town, we'd go to town. I never messed around with the games. I knew those games were rigged. A friend of mine lost like $50. He kept playing and playing. He thought sure he was going to win, and sure enough, he lost $50. Every time the circus would come to town, we'd tell him, man, let's go play some games, see if we can win some money. I ain't going back to none of them games. But and talking about the snakes, I had this guy I knew, and he raised and sold different type snakes. And he'd mentioned about wanting to go to Florida with some or something. I forget, he was selling them or something, and asked if I'd like to ride with him. And I was thinking, if that vehicle gets in a wreck, flips over, we're going to be stuck in a vehicle with a bunch of snakes loose. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not scared of snakes. I don't care what they are. But I don't want them crawling all over me or biting at me and I'm unable to do anything about it, especially if they're one of those kind that they bite you and, there may or may not be an antivenom. Well, this same guy, I knew the guy who bought his house. He wanted me to help him do some work on it. So we were doing some work, and I was taking out an old stove, and it was one of those kind of insert stoves. And when I took it out, a snake mummified snake fell out of there. Don't know what kind it was. Don't care what kind it was. That was the end of me working on that house. And but these were just, there was something to do back in the day. We didn't have a lot to do, and we'd go to the carnival, or there was one of these things set up, we'd go take a look. There was one at the carnival, and just to show you how we weren't thinking as kids, they were supposedly carrying this headless lady from place to place. Okay, she didn't have a diaper on. She was sitting in a chair with some kind of apparatus on her head, and every once in a while she'd move her finger or something. And but the thing about it, depending on when you went there, the lady's body configuration would change. So they had different people sitting in the chair, but they made a few dollars having people go up there and take a look at her. Thanks for stopping by. Come back again when you will. Share, comment, like, hit that subscribe button. God bless.